Alright, so we've put one person to sleep. In-game, that is. If you're watching this and you're still awake, I'm very impressed. Maybe I can do something with the telephone box now, but I do want to make a save. It's actually day 2 now when I'm playing this. We don't have a dial zone here. What, no comments?
Hey, a phone box, and I don't need a phone card. I can't hear any dialing tone. Hey, a phone box, and I don't need a phone card.
Alright, so let's put the coins into slots.
Which number am I supposed to dial? Which number am I supposed to dial?
Yeah, this was going to be my next question. What is the number for the museum?
Hey, a phone box, and I don't telephone charges of British Telecom, so nobody forgets how expensive it is to use the phone. You have to put at least, it won't work without money.
So my question is, do I get the money back? Have I lost that now? No, I still got it. Okay. The phone number for the museum. Maybe I can go back and ask Chris. He seems to know who this Detective Turner bloke is. Maybe there's a sign here. Maybe there's a phone book in our office somewhere. There is a phone.
Closed due to renovation works. Great. And now? Closed due to renovation works. Great. And now? Locked.
Do you have the phone number, sir? That's not a sign there.
Anthropological Museum of Oxford. This is the right place.
You think I've missed something in the booth? Okay, I'll take another look. I'm pretty sure I explored this pretty thoroughly yesterday, though. We got the books. Or something down here, maybe? There's that, but it's not interactable.
Hey, a phone box, and I don't need a phone card.
Maybe I can use the fingerprint powder on the buttons to figure out the phone number? I saw those down there. It's like, yeah, they kind of look like phone books, but I've never seen a phone box arrange their phone books like that. And by that, I mean I haven't seen a phone box with phone books in there which haven't been vandalized in about 40 years.
Let's see if the phone number of the museum is listed in here. Museum, okay. Museum of African Studies, Museum of Ancient History. Here, Anthropological Museum. And the extension of Professor Turner? It's here. I've got it.
No doubt starts with 555. Okay, Halligan can read. Confirmed.
Hello?
Hello, who's that?
Who am I speaking to?
We're not going to say that. As much as I would love to say that, I think we'll just try and keep it professional.
This is Detective Halligan from Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard? What can I do for you?
I need to speak to Professor Turner. Doesn't he work at the museum?
Yes, but he's away on business.
I really, really wish that we could have asked about our wallet.
Look, miss, what was your name?
Goodbye, Mr. Halligan.
Damn!
Up.
Alright, so we need to brute force the lady at reception. Don't take that sentence out of context because it sounds awful.
I can't hear any dialing tone.
Hello?
Hello, it's me again, Detective Halligan.
I told you, Professor Turner isn't here.
Yes, but
Detective, I'm very busy. Please call again in 8 weeks.
She's hung up again. Oh.
Concerning. So, I imagine we're going to get the same thing if we keep dialing.
Hello, it's me again, Detective Halligan.
I told you, Professor Turner isn't here.
Yes, but...
Detective,
She's...
8 weeks.
You can't get through like that.
Indeed. We can't use the phone book again. I was thinking maybe we could dial a different extension, perhaps? What else could we do?
Doesn't look busy at all in there.
We must have accomplished something by making that phone call.
Locked.
And making an assumption here, I assume that any choice that I made in the initial conversation would not really change the outcome.
Doesn't look busy at all in there.
So, if she's not responding, what are my options? I've either missed something in the phone booth. Can I look at this car at all? No, that's our car, isn't it? It's most likely our car. I assume that is Professor Turner that we were speaking to. Chris, are you in here? Can you tell me anything about Professor Turner?
Well, Brent, still got a headache?
Don't ask, Chris.
Have you managed to contact Professor Turner?
Yeah, I phoned him, but he wasn't in.
Not in?
He's on an expedition. I just talked to some woman who works there.
With his extension number?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Halligan, that was probably his daughter Melanie. She works in the museum as well. My friend told me a lot about her. He used to be really keen on her.
So, Professor Turner has a daughter. Thanks, Chris. I think that'll help me.
Oh god, what are you planning, Halligan?
Are you alright, Halligan? How are you getting on?
Yeah, everything's fine. Thanks.
Are you alright, Halligan? How are you getting...
Yeah.
Everything is not fine. You tried to kill me and I've lost my wallet. I can't imagine Janice or the Chief would have anything useful for us. Right, so let's try this again. Actually, let me make a save, because I've got a feeling we could get some horrible choices here. And by horrible, I mean hilarious.
Hello?
Hello, this is Halligan again. Please don't hang up, Miss Turner.
How do you know my name, Mr. Halligan?
Chris Hecker told me that Professor Turner's your father.
Oh, you're just
Yes,
giving it
that's
away
right.
What do
immediately.
you do at the museum?
I'm an anthropologist.
Come
The
on.
same as your father.
Yes?
Miss Turner, do you think you could help me?
That depends. What's the trouble?
I found a bone that I've had examined at the lab.
A bone? A human bone?
Yes, of course. It belonged to a murder victim.
Murder? How awful.
The bone is from the body of one of the victims of the skeleton murders. I take it you've read about them?
Oh, good heavens, yes. What can I do for you?
Couldn't we discuss that inside?
Certainly. Come on over. I'll let you in.
It's that easy. I thought that Halligan was going to say, "Oh, your father's been in a terrible accident," or something like that. "And he told me to get you, Melanie. Also, have you seen my wallet?" I was not expecting that to go so smoothly. Jesus. I think that's the first professional thing that Halligan has done.
Mr. Halligan?
Yes, that's right. Hello, Miss Turner. Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem. We're closed anyway. The museum is being refurbished.
It's not easy to get in touch with you. I was close to giving up.
Oh, you mean because of the phone call? I'm really sorry. I do sometimes tend to be rather short on the phone. You know, I get unpleasant calls sometimes, and that's why I'm a bit suspicious.
I see. Well, I finally got in touch with you.
Would you like to come in? Would you like a cup of coffee or anything else?
No, thanks.
Mr. Halligan, how may I help you?
As I said, I'm working on the skeleton murders. We found another victim in Epping Forest. All the evidence points to the same culprit as in the other cases. The corpse was completely skeletonized. Professional work.
That's horrible. But how can I help you?
My colleague Chris Hecker of the Forensic Lab has already had a look at the bones. He thought that your father could perhaps carry out some additional tests. He is a renowned expert, after all.
Yes, he could do that. But as I said, my father isn't here.
I know, but it is very urgent. Perhaps you could have a look?
You say you've got some of the bones with you?
Yes, just one. Here.
This is a femur.
Yes, that's what Chris Hecker said as well.
It will take some time, Mr. Halligan. Could you wait a moment?
Let's wait a moment for some time. I really wish we could ask about our Wallace.
I would like to ask you some questions about your work, just out of interest.
Nothing about the Wallace, really.
What's your father's current research project?
He's in Kenya studying initiation rituals.
What?
The rituals carried out when the childhoods of boys and girls end and they're admitted to the circle of adults.
Going through puberty, in other words.
How long have you been working here?
Several years. My father helped me to get the job here at the museum.
Connections are indispensable nowadays, aren't they?
I was the most qualified applicant, but it's not easy to gain acceptance with the old boys of the museum's board when you're a woman. You have to be at least twice as good as the best male applicant.
And you were?
Of course I was. It's been decided that I'll be the head of the museum as soon as my father retires.
When will that be?
In 5 years?
Then you will have achieved a lot for someone your age.
How old do you think I am?
I'd say 29.
Exactly.
There was a lot of truth spoken in that dialogue there. Still relevant.
What's your research field?
I specialize in sacrificial rites.
Sacrificial rites? That's an unusual research field for a young woman.
Do you think so? I don't think you should divide preferred science fields for men or women, Mr. Halligan.
Yep.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just think that you must have to do with death all the time if you research sacrifices.
Death is part of our existence, Mr. Halligan. In all cultures, all around the world.
You're telling me. If you take it like that, we are almost like colleagues.
Maybe. But it's not my job to put people in jail. I document the sacrificial rites of different cultures in order to help create a better mutual understanding.
What is there to be understood about murder?
I'm not saying that I approve of everything I research, Mr. Halligan, but in foreign cultures, not all sacrificial rites are regarded as murder. Most cultures sacrifice animals or plants, and they do so for religious reasons. Human sacrifices don't exist anywhere in the world at present. They're a thing of the past.
Are you the murderer? The way you're casually talking about this gives me a very off vibe. GypsyClaw says, yeah, and I agree. The voice acting and OST has a charm. The voice acting in this is not bad. For 2001, it's actually pretty good.
What are all these strange things here in your lab?
They're things my father and I have brought back from various expeditions. They have to be catalogued, will then become part of the permanent exhibition of our museum. Some things are personal presents. We keep those, of course.
You see quite a lot of the world, don't you?
Yes, that's part of my job.
Every character so far has been shitting all over Halligan, including her up until about 5 minutes ago. We're having a very pleasant conversation with her. That makes her very, very suspicious.
That was very interesting. Thank you, Miss Turner.
Not at all. I like talking about it. I'm often alone here with my work. It feels good to be able to chat. But now I'll have a look at that bone you brought.
Good.
Just for a moment, but it's going to take some time. Alright, we are seated and she's doing something. There's a lot of stuff in here, holy crap.
Well, did you get anywhere, Miss Turner?
Not really. Not yet, anyway. It'll take a while.
Okay.
She's not doing anything. Oh. Okay, I was not expecting that. Wow.
That came from Africa. Father brought it back with him.
Are we playing as the killer? I think we are. Yeah, I was wondering why the icon was showing up there. There's a lot of stuff in here. Holy crap. We've now got to learn what crimes you've been up to very clearly. I'm blown away by that. Wow. I'm clicking buttons, but not much is happening. Can't even tell what sort of machine that is. That's how you know I'm not a scientist. So we've got the desk here. We have a microscope.
Can't see a thing.
Not sure if that microscope is working as intended or not.
The sickle's from England. It could be a Celtic artifact, but we haven't been able to date it yet. That's a stiletto from the late Roman era. This dagger needs restoring. A curved dagger. I think Father brought it back with him from Turkey. These stilettos were found during the excavations in Tenochtitlan, which is now Mexico City. These stilettos were found during the excavations in Tenochtitlan, which is now Mexico City. The sheath of a dagger. Pieces of broken vessels. Pieces of broken antique muzzle-loader pistols. It must have been practically impossible to aim these things properly. It must have been practically impossible to aim these things properly.
Okay, I'm trying to left click on them now to pick them up or interact, and not much is happening. We have a microscope there. We have another machine on the desk. She's carrying the bone and nothing but the bone.
That's a human femur. Mr. Halligan gave it to me.
Calling him Mr. Halligan, holy crap.
This statue's from North Africa. I think it represents the god of the earth.
I can't see any genitalia.
A relief. It's just come back from the restorer. Forbidden archaeologies. My favourite. Excellent research. Very mysterious.
What does it say? Exclusive fallen heroes identifying bones of Pericles? Someone's soldiers. Metro Dig reveals ancient Athens. If only it said aliens. Temple of Time.
Forbidden archaeology. Forbidden archaeologies. Forbidden archaeology.
Thinking maybe I could pick up the magnifying glass.
A spear. I was given that by the chief of a tribe in Polynesia.
She's gotten around. God, that looks so grossy.
2 bottles of developer. Father hates it when I use up all his chemicals. The wash basin. The wash basin. The wash basin. Oh, Melanie, that won't work. Nothing's happening.
Okay, so we have running water if we need it.
The sun. It's amazing how many cultures make it one of their goddesses. This image is from Australia.
As an Australian who knows very little about Aboriginal art, I think that is 1000% bullshit. Just saying. That is not how the sun would be depicted over here. That's a lot of stuff again. I don't think I can interact with the cupboards though. What about the drawers? No? Huh. So what on earth is the point of this screen? There's just a bunch of knickknacks in here. Stuff that's maybe in the process of being restored, like a dark cabinet or something. We have a magnifying glass on the bottom here, a similar device to what we saw in Chris's lab.
There's methanol in there. It's sometimes used to clean up relics. Father's distiller. Father's distiller. These are pieces of very old statues. It's not easy to put them together. These are pieces of very old statues. It's not easy to put them together.
I don't think we need to do anything here yet.
The head of a Greek statue. These pieces fit together, but my father and I never managed to figure out where they came from. These sculptures don't belong here. I bought them from a junk dealer for just £20. I ought to take them home with me. I'll put them in the living room. These sculptures don't belong. These sculptures don't belong here. I bought them from a junk dealer for just £20. I ought to take them home with me. I'll put them in the living room.
There's nothing weird about that at all, putting sculptures in your living room. Hell, I've got Lego models in my living room. No, nothing there. Thinking maybe that side is different from that side. Anything else perhaps? I can't leave. I'm trapped in here with Halligan.
That came from...
Seen that.
I got this mask in Central Africa. They wear them for rites that are supposed to cure diseases. Their witch doctors use them to drive away evil spirits.
I wonder if they use those as sacrifice or sacrifice masks or whatever, and that's how they make all your problems go away.
A Mexican god. He's obviously hungry, and only human sacrifices will satisfy him.
Alright, she's weird.
A small statue. A small Greek statue. This is from Easter Island. Very mysterious. A death mask. In the Sudan, they put masks like these on warriors who died while hunting. This mask is worn for New Year's celebrations in New Guinea. This Greek vase was given to us by a local resident. She thought the museum would be interested in it, but it's just a cheap imitation from a junk shop. It says "Made in Hong Kong" on the bottom.
Nice.
I'd like to know how my father got hold of this silver mask from Kenya. Masks like this one are worn by tribal chieftains for initiation ceremonies.
I might put a photo up on YouTube later, TheGypsyClaw. Mostly vehicles, but some other random stuff as well. Right. What am I doing here? We need to analyze a femur. And I'll be honest, I have no idea where to start. I thought maybe washing the femur would be a good starting point, clean it off, get rid of all that nasty evidence and whatnot, but that is clearly not the answer. Can I use it with the microscope perhaps?
I'll never get the bone under there. I would have been surprised. I'll never get the bone under there.
Right, she's saying that, so that's a start. Can I put the bone in here perhaps? Ah, it's a shaver. I think that's what it's called anyway. Planar shaver? I don't know, it's been a very long time since I've done any carpentry.
A slice of the femur. It's wafer thin. You can almost see through it.
Alright, let's take a look at this. I can click this much faster, but it's more dramatic if I pause in between clicks.
There's some metal residue here. It's gold. There's some metal. It's gold.
We're rich, boys!
There's some. It's gold.
Okay. Halligan? I don't have your wallet, but I've got good news.
Made any progress?
Yes, a little, but I can't quite make it out. Have you got a moment? I just want to check on something.
Sure, no problem.
Have we switched? No.
Made any progress?
Yes, a little. But have you got...
Sure.
Alright, we still have this. Can I show this to Halligan? No, nothing's happening there.
I'd better think about it again.
Hmm.
I can't see it properly. There's some... It's gold.
The tweezers maybe? I couldn't pick them up earlier, so I don't think I can pick them up now. Can I do anything with the slice to somehow get rid of the gold?
I would have been surprised if it had worked like that. No, not a chance.
There's nothing on this side.
The wash basin.
Just trying to plug up the sink.
I would have been surprised. There's no point. That does. I don't want that. That doesn't work. Looks as if that won't work. Father hates it. 2 bottles of developer. Looks as if... I'd better think about it again.
Okay, what else is in this room? We have this machine, which we use to create a slice or a wafer of the bone. I don't think I can use it again, can I? No. There's nothing around here that I can pick up or interact with. I really thought I'd be able to pick up those tweezers. So we've seen gold on the femur. What now?
Father's distiller. There's methanol in there. It's sometimes used to clean up relics. I'd better think about it again. It won't work like that, I don't think. It won't... That doesn't... I should concentrate.
Nothing there will help me. Will anything here help me, perhaps? I can't imagine so.
It won't work like that. Oh, Melanie, there's no point. I should try and... I don't think it'll work like... That's futile as well. That won't get me... Not a good idea. It's lucky nobody... There's no point in that.
Yeah, nobody saw that but the entirety of YouTube. Not the shaving.
That's interesting. The notches in the bone were made by a sharp instrument. The sickle matches the notches to a T.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that. That's very random as well.
That can't work. Not a good idea. It's lucky nobody... I'd better... I can't do that. There's no... That's interesting. The notches in the bone were made by a sharp instrument. The sickle matches the notches to a T. That's a human femur. Mr. Halligan gave it to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of leaps here, I think. We don't hear about any notches in the femur. We just randomly check it against that and we make some progress.
Made any progress?
Yes, a little, but I can't quite make it out. Have you got a moment? I just want to check on something.
Sure, no problem.
We're not done.
These sculptures don't belong here. I bought them from a junk dealer for just... No, not... I don't think... Not a good... Looks as it won't work. I should concentrate. I don't think it'll work like that. There's no point. Not a good idea. It won't work like... I won't get anywhere. That looks as if that won't work. It won't work. I should concentrate. It won't work. That doesn't work. That's a human femur.
What about the human femur?
Oh, Melanie, that won't work. That doesn't help either.
Like, can I thread it through this thing?
That doesn't work. There's no point in that. No, better not. There's no point. Oh, Melanie, that won't work. That doesn't work. Nothing's happening.
You mentioned the notches in the bones, so that's got to mean something, surely.
I don't think it'll... No, not a chance. It won't... There's no point in that. It won't work like that. Looks as... Would that really be clever?
It wouldn't, but right now I'm just randomly clicking things trying to figure out what to do. We've used that. We've used a microscope. We've looked at this. The magnifying glass, perhaps?
That's futile as well. It won't work. I don't think it'll work like that. Not if that. I would have... That can't work.
Talks about analysing bones. But I don't think we can actually use that magazine.
Hey, didn't this edition mention something in connection with sacrificial rites in Britain? Let's see. Yes, here it is. An article about the Druids and their sacrificial rites.
Oh, here we
Latest
go.
findings indicate that in ancient England it was probable for the most... for their high ceremonies, the Celts usually preferred to use... incredible. It all fits in with this bone. I'm sure the detective will be very interested.
I get what the game's trying to do, but it's doing it in an incredibly obscure way.
Hey, let's see. Yes, here it is. An article about the Druids and their
I can't skip
sacrificial
this.
rites.
Sorry.
Latest findings indicate that in ancient England it was probable for the most...
So
for
look at
their
that dude's
high
head.
ceremonies, the
Or
Celts
helmet.
usually prefer to use... incredible.
I
All
hope that's
fits in
a
with this
helmet and
bone.
not a
I'm sure
Coneheads
the
reference.
detective will be very interested.
Alright, well, the detective is going to be very interested, so we've made some progress.
Mr. Halligan? I believe I've found something interesting about your bone.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, this bone was worked on.
With a sickle?
Yes, and probably with a sickle made of gold.
What makes you think that?
The bone bears notches matching the cutting form of a sickle to a T, and I found a trace of gold in one of the notches.
A golden sickle? Who would use a weapon like that in order to cut a human being to pieces?
That's what I asked myself as well. I found an interesting article which could help us. According to the historian Arthur Blake, the Britannic Druids carried out very bloody sacrificial rites. He found out that such rites took place at major celebrations of the Celts. He assumes that consecrated golden sickles were used for those rites.
And how does he know about these things?
He learned about it from old inscriptions he's translating at the moment. Interesting, huh?
Celts? Druids? Quite some time has passed since then, hasn't it?
Of course, but the descriptions in the article absolutely match the findings on your bone, Mr. Halligan. I'm sure the author of the article can help you.
The author of the article is probably going to murder you. Alright. We're talking about the Druids.
What did you say this author's name was?
Blake. Arthur Blake.
Was there any mention in the article of how you could get in touch with the man?
I thought you'd ask that. His address was printed below the article. 366 Pinewood Road, Northampton.
What do you think? Could this Blake be right?
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to make money with horror stories about ancient Britain, but the bone you've shown me would match his theory quite well.
So you think this murder could be a ritual murder?
Yes, it would be possible. There are several occult sects and Satanists. They like checking their history books and adopting archaic rituals.
Have you ever seen anything similar in your career?
Oh, Mr. Halligan, you don't know the Aztec skull walls.
Oh,
If you'd
God.
seen those, you'd consider your bone harmless.
Maybe, but that was centuries ago. The victim of this murder was found this morning, and it was found in London. I would like to ask you some questions about your work, just out of interest.
I think we're looping now. Yeah, we've seen all this.
What are all these strange things here in your lab?
They're things my father and I have brought. Something's a personal present.
You see quite...
Yes, that...
Alright, so we're going there now.
I'm going there now.
Mr. Halligan, I'm interested in this, particularly because of my job. I'd like to help you with your case. Would you take me with you?
Impossible. Confidential police work. I have to see him on my own. I'm sorry.
I'm sure my knowledge would be to your advantage, Mr. Halligan, and I think it would be really interesting to work on a case like that.
Oh, when I think about it, perhaps that's not a bad idea at all. Perhaps there will be more examinations to be done. Okay, Miss Turner, let's do it like this. I'll keep you informed on the case. If I hear anything new or if I need your help, I'll contact you. What do you think?
All right. I'll see you later then.
Yeah, see you later. And thank you, Miss Turner.
She is sus. Hey, Manon, how you doing? Thank you for hanging out as always. Alright, so we've made, I think, a good bit of progress there. We're playing as someone who doesn't make me want to stab myself in the face. We've learned a lot of information. We've heard about the Druids. Is this guy still asleep? Chris, this is your fault. Or it's indirectly your fault. And we have a new address. It's not even called a place, it's just called Arthur Blake.
This must be it. Pretty out of the way.
What have we here? Lovely little cottage in the middle of nowhere.
Looks like he made this letterbox himself.
That was freaky as hell.
Looks like he made this letterbox himself.
I have no idea what happened there. I was trying to check the mailbox, and Halligan punished me for trying to perform a crime by teleporting.
Mr. Blake's vehicle really is a vintage car, that's for certain. Mr. Blake's vehicle really is a vintage car, that's for certain.
Alright, there's definitely someone inside. Unless someone's left the stove on. I'm trying to pixel hunt, so I don't see anything else. Alright, let's just barge on in.
Ah, it says Blake. This must be the place. Not much to see. I hope he's in. Not much to see. I hope he's in.
Always check under the doormat, chat.
Not much to see. I hope he's in.
Alright, so I do not see anything we can interact with outside apart from the door. Or the doorbell.
Ah, it says Blake. This must be the place. Mr. Blake?
Yes?
My name's Brent Halligan. I'm a detective from Scotland Yard.
Are
I have
you?
a few questions I need to ask you.
Scotland Yard? What's this about? Is something wrong?
I'd rather we discuss this in private. Do you mind if I come in?
I'm not sure. What's happened? Is there a problem with one of my publications?
No, sir. I'm investigating a murder case. Perhaps you could help me? It really won't take very long.
Murder? How awful. But what's it got to do with me?
Mr. Blake, I'd really prefer it if we could go somewhere a little more private. May I come in?
Well, yes, certainly. Come on in.
Alright, first question. Have you seen my wallet? We have a lot of stuff we can examine in this room.
That armchair looks really comfortable. I could do with one of them in my office. I'd better not sit down. Might create a bad impression.
As opposed to examining all of this stuff as well. Like, are we not creating a really bad impression right now?
An old pendulum clock with a Roman face.
That musical sting.
Mr. Blake seems to be a man of taste. Still, I wouldn't buy a thing like that.
That music is loud.
An old pendulum clock with a Roman face. Mr. Blake seems to be a man of taste. Still, I wouldn't buy a thing like that. An oil quite to my taste.
It looks like maybe we can interact with it, and if it's anything like the painting in our office, there's something behind us.
An oil painting. It's not quite to my taste.
Maybe later. Oh, good God.
Books. A lot of books.
One of these is going to open a secret passage. So it looks like the cursor there is this book here. And the cursor here is this book here. So this is a pretty accurate rendition or render of the shelf that we're looking at here. There's going to be something there later, surely.
History books. I don't think Mr. Blake would appreciate my rummaging through his books without asking.
Do we really need permission, though? Was that what I was looking at before? The hell is with this music? Honestly. So yeah, I suppose we can definitely explore this room in detail if we push this guy down the stairs or something. Maybe lock him outside the house. Halligan, you're an awful person for thinking these thoughts. We can investigate the desk as... No, maybe, no, yes, no, maybe. No, I thought we were going to investigate those drawers, but we're just looking at the desk in detail. Alright, Mr. Blake. What the actual fuck is this game? Working as intended, surely. Yeah, if I click the mouse on the desk. Maybe. Or is it just completely and utterly random? I think it might just be completely and utterly random. Alright. Blake, have you seen my wallet?
You're the author of a book on Druids, am I right?
Yes, quite correct. In fact, I'm just working on a revised version for the next edition. But what makes you so interested in my book?
I'm currently investigating a series of murders in London. I've made some interesting discoveries that I'd like to discuss with you.
What series of murders are we talking about?
The skeleton murders. You may have read about them in the papers.
Oh, yes. Of course. A terrible business.
Mr. Blake, I believe there may be some sort of ritual behind these murders.
Well, what makes you think that?
Dr. Turner from the Anthropological Museum in Oxford examined one of the last victim's bones for me. She found residual traces of gold on it and round notches.
Round notches, you say?
Yes. Does that mean anything to you? Doesn't your book on Druids mention ritual killings for which a golden sickle was used?
True. Are you saying these murders are based on the same ritual?
That's what I've come to ask you.
But that's impossible. It can't be true. It's... My God. It would be unthinkable.
So dramatic.
It would confirm all my translations. I've been researching the history of the Druids for 30 years now, but I've never yet found proof of my greatest fears.
Your greatest fears?
Yes, the perfection of the final ritual, the final confirmation of the Druids' power.
I wish there were a few more breaks in the conversations between lines, just so I can quip. Your worst fear. Women, clearly. Yeah, this is going to be a long lore dump, isn't it?
Tell me more about the Druids.
Well, the Druids were Celtic priests. They were highly respected scholars, responsible for preserving the Celtic religion and science. Their main tasks included conducting sacrificial rituals, medicine, astronomy, and justice.
One of those things is
Experts
not
now
like the other.
believe that Druidism began in ancient Britain and spread from there to the European continent, especially to Gaul. The first definite evidence of the Druids' existence goes back to 500 BC.
That's a long time ago.
Quite. And for at least 500 years from then on, The Druids were the most important class of Celtic society.
What happened then?
Well, with Britain and Gaul being conquered by the Romans, the Druids were quickly suppressed. Their doctrine was abolished and replaced by Roman tenets. In the end, Christianity took over. And by around 1000 AD, Druidism seems to have vanished.
What did the Druids and their followers believe in?
Well, that's not so very easy to explain. Like the Romans and the Greeks, the Celts had a number of gods to whom various functions were ascribed. They paid homage to these gods with rituals and sacrifices. Many of their cult rituals were performed for the stars and the four elements: fire, water, air, and earth. Their
Fucking
religious
magnets.
acts always took place in forests, usually in a clearing or at some other prominent location. The Druids didn't start building their temples until they had met the Romans.
I find that curious. Not joking now. They didn't start building temples until they met the Romans when they were being subjugated. That's curious. You'd like to know more about the four... Yeah, we got to do it, don't we?
I'd like to know more about the four elements.
The Druids regarded the four elements as the material of which the world is made. They invoked the elements and used them for their rituals. There were only three proper elements: air, water, and earth. Fire, the fourth element, existed solely for the purpose of transferring one of the three basic elements into another.
What do you mean?
Well, solids or liquids become gaseous through fire.
Chemistry,
They have to
chat.
be turned into liquid form with the help of fire. Take a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, for example. Fire, therefore, represents transformation, the transferal of one element into a new condition.
That sounds pretty complicated.
I suppose it does when you first hear it, but it's actually quite simple.
Yes, well, that's what my colleague Chris Hecker always tries to tell me whenever he starts lecturing me about chemistry.
Quite right, Mr. Halligan. I shouldn't bore you with such details.
I think I now understand why every insurance company asks me, have I ever been involved in a claim involving fire? We're not done with that. I think we said this already.
What were their rituals like?
Well, they mainly made sacrifices on special occasions.
No.
Druids would burn plants and twigs to transfer them into the realm of the divine.
That doesn't sound so terrible.
No, but they also sacrificed animals, mostly rams or pigs. Roman writers even mention cruel human sacrifices, crucifixions, decapitations, and regular slaughters on the altar.
What? Oh, that's horrific.
Not all of these stories are based on definite facts, Mr. Halligan.
All right, so the final ritual, the final countdown. What is it all about?
What's this final ritual all about?
This is the text I wrote down during my travels through England and France. You know, when you travel through the country, you can feel that many locals still believe in the old Celtic customs. A group of farmers in the south of England let me copy the inscriptions on a megalith that stands in a field there. They claim that there used to be a huge Druid temple close to their house, but there's nothing left of it now. Whatever. I managed to translate the text, at least in part.
Okay, Mr. Blake, please come to the point. What does it say?
It says that the last of the Druids saw the fall of their priesthood coming in the year 1000 AD. In the confusion surrounding the final destruction of the order, a demonic superior Druid seized power, using his knowledge of Druid magic, not for the good of his people and to honor the gods, but to submit all of mankind to his rule.
Can you
In
say
order
that
to
with a
secure
few
the
more full
survival
stops?
of the Druids' tradition, and to complete his devilish work, he organized a final ritual, transferring the knowledge and power of the last of the Druids to 5 infants. These infants have always been referred to as the inheritors.
Go on.
The inscription says that the ritual was not entirely completed. I've not yet been able to discover why. But from what I've learnt, the inheritors are strong and powerful enough to one day complete the ritual by themselves.
So I assume that's what we saw in the intro. The intro was 1000 AD. There are a whole bunch of druids, and they put their power into these 5 babies, and then the babies grew up and became dictators. They're immortal, perhaps, and they're running around killing people. Or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to all of that because your sentences are way too long. They disappeared. We know that.
What happened to the Druids after 1000 AD?
Well, that's a good question, Mr. Halligan. Scientists are still arguing on that point. Some suspect that many Druids simply became priests in the Christian church. After all, Christian priests took over the position in society that had formerly been reserved for the Druids. They simply changed their jobs.
And secretly continued their own religion?
That's not unlikely. They certainly influenced the Christian church. That we do know. Some experts believe that the Druids' order never ceased to exist. That's where the myth surrounding the final ritual comes in. It supposedly took place 1,000 years ago.
So that explains all the stories you read on the news about the Catholic Church, Christian Church, whatever. I'm not religious, chat. They're basically the same thing to me. It was all the Druids doing. Every bad thing that's happened, people getting touched, bad things the church has been doing, it was all the Druids doing. That's the excuse. What is going on with the texture on Halligan's coat there? No, it's all the way across the screen. I've just noticed that there's like a black bar. If you look at his jacket here, you can see a black bar moving up and down in line with my mouse. Same with Halligan's coat. Kind of freaky. All right. What do these murders got to do with the myth?
Right. What have these murders got to do with the myth?
Well, that's just it, Mr. Halligan. I haven't told you the whole story yet.
There's more?
Really?
Yes. The inscriptions explain that the Druids' inheritors require the life force of other people to complete the ritual.
I see. And how do they do that?
According to legend, the flesh has to be cut off the bones of living humans and to be eaten. Only then can their life force be transferred.
You mean the victims of these skeleton murders were practically eaten alive by cannibals?
Cannibal babies.
By Druids. Yes.
I don't believe it.
The worst is yet to come, Mr. Halligan.
What? What could possibly be worse than that?
You've got
If
my
such
wallet?
skeletons have been found in London, bearing marks of a golden sickle, it can only mean one thing. The inheritors are preparing for the perfection of their final ritual.
Which means?
The myth says, once the ritual has been completed, the world will become a place governed by evil. Dark magic will be unleashed upon the world, and mankind will have but one choice: to obey or to die.
Great. And you really believe all that?
I believe it's possible. You know, Mr. Halligan, I'm not a superstitious man.
Like
but
hell you're
I've
not.
spent enough time studying Druidism to know that more goes on between heaven and earth than we can possibly imagine.
I quite agree.
You see, and the skeletons that have been found within the past few months fit in perfectly with the Druids' sacrificial rites. The day of the ritual's perfection is drawing near. Of that I'm certain. What we're looking at right now is just the beginning. Before we're through, more people will die, and the inheritors will soon be strong enough.
What can we do about it?
Time is running out, Mr. Halligan. You must find the inheritors and put them out of action.
Why don't you do something, dude? Why don't you get up and find him? Oh no, that's inappropriate, isn't it? How can I do that? You're a detective from Scotland Yard, dude.
That's an easy thing to say, but how can I?
There may be a way. During my latest research, I came across something very interesting. If the story I've heard is true, then there's a certain item that was extremely important for the ritual 1,000 years ago.
It was my wallet, wasn't
A
it?
piece of jewelry mentioned in the old inscriptions. The Amulet of Transformation. You should try to gain possession of that amulet.
The Amulet of Transformation? What's its purpose?
I don't know, Mr. Halligan. Nobody does. All I do know is that the myth says it's important for the completion of the ritual. If you find the amulet, you may be able to prevent the ritual.
Or maybe someone will steal it from us, and that's the vital ingredients for the ritual. I get like a Metal Gear Solid vibe out of that.
How did you find out about the amulet?
My work led to the discovery of a connection between the Druids of Gaul and Britain. It seems there was a small group of British Druids who fled to France when the ritual failed.
What for?
I don't know. Maybe they wanted to save the amulet. I found out that a 13th century despotic French nobleman somehow gained possession of the amulet. I found a picture of him in an old archive.
Really? Let me see.
Emphasis on picture. It will be absolutely hilarious if we fly over to France and we find someone who looks identical to this. 3D model and all. I'm kind of expecting it at this point. I don't think we can do anything there. The amulet of transformation. Transformation, I'm thinking fire. Maybe that's going to set us on fire if we try to put it on. That will be interesting. Maybe we can put it on Lowry.
Well, he doesn't look particularly friendly. Was he a druid?
Well, he must have had something to do with the Druids, but I really can't tell you how he gained possession of the amulet. However, he is the only clue that I can possibly give you. As to the whereabouts of the amulet, I suggest that you make your way to Carmore. With any luck, you may find more clues leading to the amulet there.
All right, Mr. Blake. I'll get going immediately.
Take care of yourself, Mr. Halligan. Good luck.
That was a long conversation. Holy crap.
Well, what can I do for you? You can ask me anything you want.
Oh, God. I feel a lot of this is very important, though.
Tell me, Mr. Blake, why are you in a wheelchair?
Oh, that's a sad story. I was attacked a few years back.
Attacked? Who by?
I don't know. It was after an autograph session for my first book about the Druids. A group of men were lying in wait for me and beat me up.
Why? Had you had a disagreement with someone?
No, not that I know of. They just beat me up. Without warning, and without saying a single word. Then they left me lying there, calm as anything. They just strolled away.
That's terrible. Who could they have been? Do you know what they looked like?
They were dressed all in black and wearing dark sunglasses. That's all I remember. It all happened so fast.
And you've been in a wheelchair ever since?
Yes. I can't drive anymore, and I find my work very strenuous. I'll be grateful if I ever manage to finish my new book.
Can I walk you outside while we case the place?
You're the author of a book on druids, am I right?
Yes, quite correct. In fact, I'm just working on a revised version for the next edition. But what makes you so interested in my book?
I'm currently investigating a series of murders in London. I've made some interesting discoveries that I'd like to discuss with you.
What series of murders are we talking about?
The skeleton murder.
Oh yeah, terrible.
Mr. Blake,
Well, what makes
Dr. She found...
round?
Yes.
Yeah, we're looping.
It would have been.
You're
Yeah,
I think we've heard this one.
I'd like to know more about the four elements.
The Druids regarded the four elements as the material of which the world is made. They invoked the element. There were only fire.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Yes, quite right.
How did you find out about the amulet?
How did you find out about the amulet?
My work led to the discovery.
No, I've seen this one as well.
Really?
You can see the picture,
Well, he does. Was he?
which
What
is
I
hilarious. So all we got out of that is we learned that he was attacked by a group of MIBs with sunglasses.
All right, Mr. Blake. I'll get...
Take care.
Immediately after some sort of signing session involving his book about druids. Nothing sus about that at all. Yeah, I really think there's more to this place. But the problem is we can't search the place while he's in this room.
And they're almost all historical works.
Alright. We've learned a few things, I think. I hope you've been writing that down because I haven't. Let me just make another save or overwrite this file. And we might have another destination here. Portsmouth. Is that how you pronounce that? I don't know. Chief, we're going to France. Hope you don't mind.